Creative Living, utilizing today's technology with the best of the past to bring you innovative ideas and up-to-date information for creative lifestyles in today's active world. With your host, Sheryl Borden.
Welcome to Creative Living today. We're going to learn about a gluten-free online food club. We'll discuss what you need to know before you travel and show how to make some delicious salads using a variety of toppers. One of my guests today is Casey Pommering, and she's the founder of G-Free Foodie Club, which is an online resource to help you live gluten-free. Casey will talk about all the options that are available in her box club, as well as explain why anyone would want to be gluten-free. She's from Madera, California. Another guest is an avid writer and photographer, and she's going to share some super tips for savvy travelers. Yvonne Linelli says that we should do a lot of research before undertaking a trip, and she'll explain why. She lives in Alto, New Mexico. And finally, we'll visit with Connie Moyers about the abundant selection of prepackaged salads now available in most supermarkets. These make salad preparation so much quicker, and Connie will also show us some of the add-ons that can be used, including croutons, tortilla strips, and wonton strips. Connie represents Mrs. Cubison's, and she lives in Clovis, New Mexico. Connie, it's always nice to have you here. And when you said we were going to talk about salads, it makes me think of growing up. We always had salad at almost every meal, but it was just lettuce and tomatoes, and you put it on the plate along with everything else. And now salads play such a big role in our meals.
They do. And you know, what's also easy is we have all of these available ones that are already mixed in the, and I hate making salad. I don't know why. It's simple, but it's just nice to dump things out of a bag, and we don't have to wash it. It's already been washed for us. It's just really great. So
pre-cut, pre-measured, basically, if you're using the smaller things like onions or whatever.
But you know, there's all different kinds of salads, and now most of the time we have a pre-meal salad, like instead of on your plate, like you were talking about, how we grew up, and they'll be on a bowl or a plate, and it's just a real simple mixture of greens, whatever greens you like. And you know, there's nothing that says you can't mix some of those bags of greens too, if it's you know, want a little bit more. But what really finishes off is, of course, the dressing, but there's so many toppers available now.
I've never seen so many different types of toppers for salads.
These are Mrs. Cubison's toppings, and that one is Texas and Butter Toast Crunch you're going to put on there. And you know, those are nice, big, thick ones, pretty and good and crunchy and toasted, and that just really finishes that little salad off and makes it really good. These are Asiago cheese salads, and so those are really good. And then just put a little bit of dressing, or even just a little bit of olive oil or something that's not much, and that's all you have to do.
So that's your pre-meal type of salad.
That's a pre-meal salad. And then, you know, a lot of times we have leftovers, whether it's steak, brisket, salmon that we have today, chicken, any of those, or of course we could cook it for that, grill it, and then just put it on your salad, and it's just such a lighter whole meal deal. And you know, a lot of the restaurants have that on their menus these days, and so that's really nice. So I've just chosen a real pretty mixed green salad that we've put in here, and this is some salmon that I had already cooked and had a little bit left over, so we'll just sprinkle it over the top.
So this would be the main dish, wouldn't it?
The main whole thing.
And salad and vegetables. It's really the whole food pyramid.
This salmon is some good Atlantic wild-caught salmon, and I just cooked it on the broiler. You could cook it on the grill or any place to do that, but doesn't that make a gorgeous salad? And you would pay quite a bit for that salad in the restaurant, so that's really good.
And the thing about salmon, and I think it's an easy error for us to make, we're used to cooking most things quite a while, and salmon cooks so fast that it's really easy to overcook it.
But it's just so easy to fix. This one had some honey mustard on it, but you don't have to do anything to it if you don't want to.
You can grill it and broil it,
bake it, poach it, any of those things that you could do. And you know, along with croutons, there's all of these tortilla strips, wonton strips, and those are fun and exciting. I know one of the restaurants that I go to a lot at lunch has tortilla strips on their salad, and I just really enjoy that meal salad that way. But today I think we're going to put these wonton strips
I haven't
on there.
tried the wonton.
And they're soy ginger, so they're really a different one. These are made by Mrs. Cubison's, and they're just really good. And then, of course, you know, there's all kinds of toppings that you could add to it if you wanted to. We
Oh,
can
those are
add a
almonds?
few almonds, any kind of nut you wanted to put on there. We could put olives or wouldn't
Mandarin
these mandarin
oranges.
oranges be really attractive on top of this
Oh, that'd be
too?
especially good, I think, with the salmon. I like
And
oranges.
the soy, I think. So that's a good choice too. So
We used to use everything in the refrigerator to make stew. Now we can just about do the same thing and make our own
with
salad.
salads, can't we? And then of course just top it off with a little bit of cracked pepper, and that really adds some good flavor to it. So simple.
easy
We didn't add
ideas.
salt to it. We didn't add anything. And then our favorite dressing.
Uh-huh.
So, there's other kinds of salads too. There's like egg salad, potato salad, tuna salad, chicken salad, and those can be meals or they can be a side dish.
Uh-huh. So you can get a lot of use out of some of the things, and just like you said, you may not have leftovers, but you can plan and have planned overs so
That's
that you
right.
can
That's
save
what I
a
have
little
to do
bit.
at my house, because if I set it on the table, it's probably going to be gone. And then add these different kinds of toppers, and it just makes it really special. It looks like something that came from a restaurant.
It really does. Well, thank you very much, Connie. I always learn something when you're on.
Thank you.
Yvonne, thank you so much for coming today. You travel nationally, internationally. You write for travel magazines, and you're just such an expert on travel. I wanted to pick your brain on several things today, but I bet you would be the first to admit that the internet has made doing that research about going someplace so much easier than in the days when you started.
Exactly. In the olden days, we went to the travel agent, looked at the brochures, and booked. Today, people may use a travel agent, or more than likely, they'll go to the internet, they'll type in visit, fill in the blank, get that destination's official website, and all the links to the transportation, to the sites, the best times to travel, and so forth are all right there at their fingertips.
But we forget that sometimes. We're so excited about maybe getting to go to London for the first time in our lives. We're just thinking, what will I wear each day? The least important things.
Or what
of
will
course.
I eat?
What will I eat? Of course. And do you think it's better to do the do-it-yourself type planning to go someplace, which you've done on your own by yourself, or to go with groups, tours?
There is no better. There is only what works for the individual. With a package tour, someone does all the work. They've already researched the hotels, researched the travel, researched the train schedules, the plane schedule. They've set up the guides. You simply write them the check or give them the credit card. But the trade-off is that if you want to spend an hour at the Tower of London and you have to be back on the bus in 10 minutes, well, there is that.
There it goes.
So again, it's a person's individual taste whether he or she wants to do all the research by himself or herself, or have someone else do it for him or her.
That's right. Sometimes you want to see things, but again, if it's a group tour, some people are just bored stiff with maybe the cathedral that you want to go through to see.
Exactly.
I have a son who has worked in the travel industry, both airline and cruises, so I've had the opportunity, fortunately, to get to go on a few cruises. To me, that's the best way to travel. What do you think about cruises in general?
Absolutely. Cruises, cruise travel has, according to statistics, has increased 25% in the last 5 years.
Wow.
Cruise ship companies, after an economic slump, are now building more and bigger and more luxurious cruise ships. Cruises vary in size from the mega cities of 1,000, 2,000 passengers to the smaller ones that I used to work on, which had 100 passengers or less. And the cruises go anywhere there's water. We think of the Caribbean or the transatlantic, but there are river cruises all over the world, up the Volga, up the Mississippi, up the Danube, little tiny cruises in the Mediterranean or the Red Sea. Just anywhere there's water, there's a ship going there. The advantage of cruises, of course, is that they're pretty much all inclusive. Your transportation from port A to port B is taken care of. Your meals are taken care of. Your onboard entertainment is taken care of.
And the food.
And the food,
is
all
wonderful.
important. 6 meals a day, don't miss the midnight buffet. But however, cruise lines vary with amenities. So when you're doing your research, see what's included and what's not included. The big cruise ships, they'll put out a teaser price of a very low price. Then you find out that, oh, you want to eat at the specialty restaurant, or you want to take this particular tour when you get to London, or you want to use Wi-Fi, or you want to go to the bar, or you want to gamble. Hello, your tab just automatically goes up. Whereas if, say on some of the smaller cruises, it might be sticker shock because there's a huge pay up front, but everything might be included. So again, you must do your research.
That makes a lot of sense, and if you're going, you don't want to have that surprise hit you at the end of the cruise when you didn't realize why they took your credit card to start with.
Exactly.
That's good point. You mentioned about transportation, getting from point A to point B. What all can we do on the internet that would make it so much easier to schedule our transportation ourselves?
Everyone by now has heard of the big discount booking agencies like Expedia and Travelocity and so forth. I prefer to use them for research only and find out who's got the best flights that I want, and then go to the individual airlines to do the actual booking. Because if something happens to your flight, the airline is going to be the one who takes care of its customer rather than some faceless discount company. Another thing that I do when I research is I use one computer for research because of the cookies that they put on. Then I use a separate computer to do the actual booking.
Oh, I've never thought of that.
And another thing to do was to clear your cookies when you finish doing your research in case you have to go back again.
And I never think of doing that. That's
We never
a
do.
good tip.
We never do, but it's very important.
Is it the same way with like choosing hotels, lodging?
Absolutely. Again, you've got the big discount booking sites, but when you get a price and an idea of the amenities, go to that hotel's website, or if you can make a phone call because it's domestic, speak to the desk clerk, speak to the manager. I'm going to be in your city between X date and Y date. Are you running any specials?
Oh, so just be up front and ask about it.
Be up front and ask.
Now, what about travel insurance? I tend to always say no, but when should we say yes?
Again, that's a matter of preference. Trip cancellation or delay insurance typically costs around 10% of the original price, based on variables such as length of the trip, price of the trip, and age of the travelers involved. If something happens unexpectedly, such as you become ill, or someone in your immediate family becomes ill, or your travel companion becomes ill, and you have a valid claim, then all those non-refundable prices that you paid, which can run into 5 figures sometimes, are then covered as long as you followed all the steps. However, they are expensive, and if you do a lot of traveling, you might say, well, I don't get sick and blah, blah, blah. That's called self-insuring, and I actually know some people that do that. They figure the money that they're not spending for the trip insurance premiums, they're going to figure that's what they'll lose should something unfortunate happen.
I see, so you can weigh that. Just real quickly, can you tell us what are the main things we should think of if we are planning international travel rather than statewide or
International
countrywide?
travel has its own variables. We talked about insurance a little while ago. Medical insurance. I'm sure most Americans have medical insurance, but they may not be aware that their medical insurance may not cover them when they slip on the Alps in Switzerland. Or they're, falling down a tunnel in New Zealand.
So you would check all of that before you left?
Absolutely. And if your medical insurance doesn't cover that, then buy a travel medical policy that will, and find out whether you'll just show them your card, or will you need to pay money up front in euros or pounds or whatever, because they may not take credit cards, and will you need to keep your receipts? There's always a lot of that going on. Also with medical, if you're going to a foreign country, check with the Center for Disease Control, it's on the internet, and find out what immunizations are required. And because some countries will not let you in the country unless you have proof of your typhoid vaccination, or your smallpox, or your polio. When was the last time you got a booster for any of that?
Well, and I know we've talked before about how when you set a destination, at least 2 weeks ahead, you should start a packing list.
Yes.
I think we should should easily start a to-do list so that you can do all these things.
Absolutely. The more pre-planning you do, the less of a shock it is, and the more confident you feel when you're on the trip.
Those are great tips. Thank you very much, Yvonne.
My pleasure.
Casey, thank you so much for being with us today. I have had several guests through the years talking about gluten-free cooking, about celiac disease, and I can remember still the first person I had on, and I read the book before she was coming because I'd never heard of celiac disease. And I'm amazed how many people either are gluten intolerant or have celiac disease, which is the ultimate, or who just want to be on a gluten-free diet.
That's the thing. The diet itself has become more and more popular for a number of reasons, but celiac went largely undiagnosed, and now physicians are becoming more and more informed, and I think the public is becoming more and more informed and realizing if they have chronic fatigue or they've been diagnosed with IBS or other GI symptoms, or they're nauseated, or kind of all these things are going on. They're asking their physician to check to see if they have celiac disease or looking for a gluten intolerance.
Now, can people be diagnosed with celiac disease as young as, infants, or is this something that comes on gradually?
It's something that you're genetically predisposed to, and you can be born with it active, just like you can be born with active diabetes. You can be born with active celiac disease, or it can become an issue later in your life. I think it's almost easier to diagnose in young children because there's no reason for them to be having these issues. And it tends to be that pediatricians are more attuned to celiac.
That's good.
Than some of the doctors who are listening to people come in saying their stomach hurts and they're exhausted all the time and they can't get rid of the dark circles, and they say, well, you've got too much stress, or you've got too many things going on.
Or it's all in your head.
Right, and I think for a long time I felt, because I was so ill, and I had been diagnosed with all these different things, and I was following all the doctor's orders, but not feeling better, not getting better.
That has to be really frustrating.
It's incredibly frustrating. And because I grew up in a farming family and I've spent my career in food and wine, when I was finally diagnosed with celiac disease, I was so excited because there was a name to this.
It's a relief to find out what you have.
A, I'm not crazy, or at least not for that reason. And B, there is something going on with me, and this is what that issue is. But I also felt completely challenged, and I knew how big a deal this was because I had sold food and wine, worked on R&D teams, worked with restaurants as they were developing their menu, and I knew how many things gluten was in.
And I'm amazed too, just since that first guest I had on probably 25 years ago, how many things now are available on the shelf. At the time Betty Hagman was here, she had to make everything.
Absolutely. So now because gluten is a protein that's found in wheat, barley, and rye.
Okay.
And so there are things like bread, bagels, pasta, beer that you obviously need to
avoid.
substitute. And you're right. People who 20 years ago, like Betty, had to make everything because the commercial products that were available, what little was available was not that good.
I remember in her first cookbook, she talked about how many mistakes she had, and her husband was so sweet. He would sort of be her tester. And so thank goodness we now, and even in restaurants, you can ask. The other night, I know when we went to eat, we were asking the waitress what was gluten-free. So at least the public, like you say, is becoming more in tune to it.
Absolutely, and there are products that are formulated to be gluten-free, like some of the ones we have here, and there are other products that are gluten-free, and they just need to go through the processes to make sure that the products are safe for people like me who have celiac disease or who have a gluten intolerance.
Well, I think people will love your website. I know I really learned a lot. I have several people in my family who are gluten intolerant, and that first sentence up there, it says, so you found out you're gluten intolerant. What do I do now?
Here's how to get started.
Here's how to get started.
Our Get Started guide. It lists all the names for gluten, all the ingredients that may contain gluten, everything from how to prepare to take a tax deduction for the gluten-free diet, how to decide if you're going to have a kitchen that's shared, meaning other people in your family are eating gluten in the same household or not.
Or if the whole family's going to go on the diet, which is a good diet.
Yeah, there are things like the toaster. that's going to be a challenge. So figuring out how to navigate those things so you don't inadvertently make yourself sick.
Well, and if people really certainly have been faced with this and want to do something about it, it's so nice because I read that I could join this box club and you get a starter kit. It's a monthly fee that's paid, and it's called G Free Foodie Club, Box Club. And what comes in it and why?
Well, and I always say I was a foodie first. So I'm foodie by choice, gluten-free by force. So G Free Foodie is all about recipes, restaurants, and ideas that taste good so you can live deliciously gluten-free. And like I say, because I'm in the food and wine industry, I get exposed to all different kinds of products. So there are products like this box mix from a girl who's now become my friend Kira, who's won Food Network's Cupcake Wars 3 times entirely gluten-free.
Gluten-free, wow.
Right, so she makes...
That's an endorsement.
Isn't it? She makes a cake mix that's formulated to be gluten-free. And then there are things like this spice rub or these dang chips, which you've got to try, that aren't set out for the gluten-free market, but they're foodie products. How good are those? I always say they're so dang good.
Tastes like toasted coconut.
Exactly. So I find products that are either formulated for the gluten-free market or products that I think are incredible. So foodie grade. And I make sure they're safe for people who
So you do the behind-the-scenes testing.
I curate the
before
box. I curate the box every month. So it's $29 a month, and you get 5 full-size products. And always a gift and a sample also, and a newsletter from me telling you how I found the product, 3 or 4 serving suggestions for each product, and at least 1 recipe that I've created for each product. If it's a national brand, I tell you how to find it. If it's a small, like this is a kumquat jam from a little artisan producer in Central California, either I buy more so people can get it, or I send you to their website so you can get more.
You can order it if you want it to.
Right, and when I develop the recipes, I try to do something creative and unique, but always delicious. So, you know, you don't need me to tell you that you can put marmalade on toast. That's not new information.
No.
Right? So
we know that.
yeah, we got that one. So I did a roast chicken with a marmalade glaze. So people can think about new ways to use delicious food products.
And I noticed you've got some cookies, we've got pretzels, so sweet, savory. It's really not limited at all.
No, it isn't, and that's the thing. I find things like bacon jam and sriracha ketchup and amazing Bloody Mary mix, or these pretzels, you've got to give these a try. These are gluten-free pretzels. You won't even know the difference. And I always mix them in the box, so there's always a few snack foods and ingredients and ready-to-use items. So you get a mix of things every month, and we offer it in dairy-free and nut-free as well for people who have other allergies.
Oh, that's great. And I think you would be the first to agree that people really, now more than ever before, need to learn to read labels. It's so important.
It's so important, not just for gluten intolerance, but for other ingredients. You know, there shouldn't be wheat gluten or anything else you can't pronounce in your chicken broth or in your lunch meat or in your ice cream, you know. So read labels. If a 3rd grader in your family can't pronounce those food products, maybe you need to look at them again.
Just let those go by. Well, I really appreciate you being here. I've learned a lot, and I thought I already knew just about everything about gluten, but this is really interesting, and I know it provides a real service to so many people. Thank you.
You're welcome. We love it that we get notes all the time that people say they feel like it's Christmas once a month because they get
When the
their
box
box from
comes.
me. Exactly.
Thank you very much, Casey.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed the show today. Next time on Creative Living, we'll learn how to prepare figs, we'll discuss eating for longevity, and show how to work with hardy clay. One of my next guests is with the California Fig Advisory Board, and she's going to demonstrate how easy it is to incorporate California figs into 5 popular food trends. Another guest will talk about some of the ancient Greek secrets for longevity. She's studied the ancient Greeks, many of whom are family members, and made observations that may help us learn to eat for longevity. Another guest is a designer of doll molds, and she'll show several dolls and other items made with hardy clay. She'll demonstrate how to mix the colors and then show how to condition the clay for pressing. All of these topics will be featured on the next Creative Living show. If you ever have comments or suggestions or ideas for shows, you can email me at sheryl.borden@enmu.edu. I'd also like to ask you to become a fan of Creative Living on Facebook. Just go to facebook.com and in the search window, type in Creative Living with Sheryl Borden. Thanks so much. I hope you'll plan to join me next time for Creative Living.
We are very pleased to offer you a new booklet that accompanies this series of Creative Living. This booklet is titled the 6900 series, and it features a wonderful collection of ideas and information, and it's available free of charge on our website. Posted as a PDF file, you can simply download the entire booklet or just the segments you're most interested in. For your copy of this new booklet, go to our website at KENW.org and then click on Creative Living. Scroll down to the booklet section and you can click on this booklet or on any of the other booklets that we have available online. We also would like to invite you to sign up for our free e-newsletter. Just go to KENW.org and click on the Sign Up Now button. Thank you.